So the Cantillon effect. Most people hear that and, they think it's just some obscure economic theory, something from a dusty textbook.
Exactly. But according to the intelligence we've got in front of us, that's a really dangerous underestimation.
The source material is pretty blunt about it. It calls it a blueprint.
A blueprint for the most sophisticated and, frankly, cruel plunder in human history. We're not looking at a natural phenomenon here.
No.
We are looking at a mechanism, a massive forced transfer of wealth that's designed specifically by what the source calls monetary non-neutrality.
Which is just a very polite way of saying the game is rigged.
It's rigged. I mean, it's a system that siphons life energy, real value from laborers, and transfers it directly to the architects of the fiat system.
And that's exactly why we're here. We're treating this not as a standard discussion, but more like a high-stakes briefing.
We have to.
We're positioning ourselves as strategic asset architects today because the material demands that seriousness. If you're listening, you're probably part of that global audience watching your purchasing power just erode.
Yeah.
And you want to know why.
And to understand the why, you have to go back to the who. Richard Cantillon, the source calls him the 15th guardian of the Bitcoin Chronicles.
Right.
But he was a real person, a banker, early 18th century, who operated with this cold-blooded realism that was completely at odds with the economic thinking of his time.
So we're going to dissect the Mississippi bubble as 1717 to 1720. But this isn't just a history lesson.
Not at all.
The goal here is to really portray Cantillon as someone who saw money for what it was, a weapon of redistribution.
That's the core conflict, isn't it? The invisible tax. The idea that the system is rigged so some people get rich because others get poor, all through the simple act of creating money.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Early 18th century France. The Sun King, Louis XIV, he's just died, and he's left behind an absolute mess.
A massive, massive mess. The nation is basically bankrupt. We're talking 3 billion livres of debt from all his wars. The economy is completely strangled.
And into this power vacuum steps a man named John Law.
Ah, yes, John Law.
Yeah.
The source describes him as a paper alchemist.
Which doesn't sound like a compliment.
It's not. Law was a Scottish theorist, a gambler, and he somehow persuades the French regent that the answer to all this debt isn't austerity or work.
It's the printing press.
It's printing money. His theory was if you expand the money supply, you can combine idle land with idle labor and just, boom, skyrocket productivity.
So he literally thought money was wealth. Print more paper, and the country is richer. Simple as that.
Exactly. A very seductive idea for a government drowning in debt. So Law sets up the Banque Générale and then the Mississippi Company, which gets a monopoly on all of French Louisiana.
And the big idea was to turn all that national debt into shares, into equity in this new company.
And this is where our guy, Richard Cantillon, enters the picture. He wasn't on the sidelines. He was Law's business partner.
So he's on the inside.
Deep on the inside. He was an Irish-born banker, heavily involved in the financing. But while Law was this idealist, this utopian who believed in credit, Cantillon was a cold-blooded realist.
What did he see that Law didn't?
He saw that credit expansion doesn't create real value. It just creates asset bubbles. And those bubbles, they always pop.
Let's talk about the mania, because the numbers here are they're staggering. In 1717, a share in the Mississippi Company is trading for what, about 160 livres?
That's right. Fast forward to December 1719, that same share is trading at 10,000 livres.
That's insane. Were they actually finding gold down in Louisiana?
No, it was mostly a swamp. The whole thing was engineered. This is the alchemy. Law's bank was printing unlimited paper money and then lending it to people.
Wait, walk me through that again.
The bank prints the money, lends it to an investor.
Okay.
And the investor uses that money to buy the stock that the bank is selling.
That's a closed loop. It's a circular engine of inflation.
It's the ultimate feedback loop. Print money, buy assets, asset prices go up, everyone feels rich, so you print even more money.
Sounds like a perpetual motion machine for wealth.
It does, until the music stops. And this is where Cantillon shows his genius. While the public is in a frenzy buying at the top, he's looking at the system's architecture. He knows this has to devalue the currency itself.
This is the big move. The source calls it a betrayal or maybe strategic brilliance. He doesn't just sell his shares.
No. Selling for French livres would have been useless. If the livre collapses, he still loses everything.
Right.
So he sells his shares, and then he immediately remits the funds out of the country. to London, to Amsterdam. He converts all that
Yeah.
French paper into British pounds and Dutch guilders.
So he's not just selling the stock. He is shorting the entire country of France. He's betting the currency goes to zero.
He's betting against the whole system. He saw that the wealth everyone was celebrating was just an illusion printed on paper.
There's that amazing story about the confrontation, right, between Law and Cantillon.
Oh, it's incredible. The bubble is at its absolute peak. Law knows Cantillon is betting against him. He summons him, threatens him, basically says his pessimism is treason.
And threatens him with the best deal.
Yes, and
Excellent.
Cantillon's reply is legendary. He looks him in the eye and says, "I shall not go away, but I will make your system succeed."
He calls his bluff.
Completely. He pretends to buy back in, which stabilizes the price for a day or so. And then he flees Paris in the middle of the night. He knew the clock had run out.
And when it did.
Catastrophe. The bubble bursts in 1720. Mass bankruptcies, the currency is worthless, Law is exiled. But Cantillon, because he moved his assets outside the blast radius, he walks away with a profit of 20 million livres.
Well, the wealthiest men in Europe.
Overnight.
It's a masterclass.
Yeah.
But it's also ruthless. And this brings us to the theory. He didn't just take the money and run. He wrote it all down in his essay.
His essay sur la nature du commerce en général is
Yeah.
really the first systematic treatise on economics. And in it, he just demolishes this idea of monetary neutrality.
Okay, let's break that down. Monetary neutrality. That's the simple idea that if you double the money, all the prices just double, and nothing fundamental really changes.
That's the theory, and it's what John Law was counting on. But Cantillon said, no, that's wrong. Money is non-neutral. He introduced what we call the Cantillon effect.
Which is all about where the money comes from.
Exactly. Money doesn't just appear in everyone's pocket at the same time. It enters the economy at specific points. And that creates time lags. It creates geographical biases.
A source calls it the privilege of the injection point. That sounds crucial. So who gets the money first?
Well, back then, it was the sovereigns, the bankers, the big landowners. When they get this new money, prices haven't risen yet. So they can go out and buy up real assets, land, raw materials, gold at the old pre-inflation prices.
So they're front-running the inflation. They're getting a discount paid for by everyone else.
That's it. Then come the intermediaries. Merchants, manufacturers, their income goes up because the rich are spending, but their costs start to rise too.
When at the very, very end of the line.
The final victims. Wage laborers, pensioners, people on fixed incomes. By the time that new money finally trickles down to them, the price of bread, the price of rent, it's already gone through the roof.
So their purchasing power has been stolen. It's not just that things are more expensive. Someone else got to buy all the cheap stuff before they even had a chance.
It's a direct transfer. The source uses a great analogy. A vacuum cleaner. The system acts like a vacuum, sucking purchasing power up from the bottom and delivering it right to the top. It's not a bug, it's the feature.
Cantillon used that river analogy too, right?
He did. He said something like, the river will not flow with double the speed when the amount of water is doubled. The flow changes, it floods some areas and leaves others completely dry.
Okay, to really hammer this home, let's walk through his gold mine thought experiment. This really clarifies how inflation doesn't just change numbers, it breaks the real economy.
It's a brilliant step-by-step breakdown. So imagine a new gold mine is discovered. Stage 1. The mine owners and the workers get rich fast.
And what did they do with all that new cash?
Well, human nature kicks in. They don't save it. They demand luxuries. They want better meat, more wine, fancy clothes, servants. This drives up the price for all those things.
Which seems good at first. The butcher's making more money.
Right, but here's the trap. Stage 3. Agricultural laborers, the farmers, they see the high wages being paid in the mines and in the luxury trades.
So they leave the fields.
They leave the fields. They want those high-paying jobs. This means fewer people are growing actual food.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Exactly. Food production plummets just as the money supply is exploding. So in stage 4, you have a universal price surge in necessities. High demand, low supply. The poor face a massive drop in real purchasing power.
So the new money literally starved the country by rewiring the economy to serve the first people who got it.
It distorted the entire price mechanism. The economy got a signal to produce luxuries instead of bread. That is the real tragedy of the Cantillon effect. It changes what a society produces to favor the wealthy.
He also had that concept of the 3 rents, his sort of geometry of wealth.
Right. He saw production in 3 parts. First rent, about a third, goes to the landowner. That's pure rent. The second rent covers production costs, labor, equipment. And the third is the farmer's profit.
And he saw this wealth flowing geographically, right?
Right.
From the country to the city.
Yes, from the countryside to Paris and London, because that's where the landowners lived and that's where they spent their rent money. It creates this artificial velocity of money in the cities, and it drains the heartland.
It sounds frighteningly familiar. Financial centers booming while industrial and agricultural areas just get hollowed out.
It's the exact same mechanism. He even used Spain as a warning. Spain had all the gold from the New World. They should have been the richest nation on earth.
But they weren't.
No. The flood of money raised domestic wages so high it destroyed their manufacturing base. It became cheaper to import everything. The gold just flowed right back out, and Spain ended up poor.
Okay, this is where the story gets really dark. You'd think a guy who figured all this out would be famous, celebrated. But that's not what happened.
No, it's the mystery of Albemarle Street. Cantillon's ideas were just too dangerous. He was exposing the theft mechanism the ruling class depended on. So in May 1734, his house in London burns to the ground.
And they find a body.
A headless corpse. And his library, his manuscripts, all that precious data, gone, turned to ash.
The official story was murder-robbery. His cook did it.
Joseph Tenaille. That was the official conclusion. The cook fled and was never found. But the source points to a much deeper conspiracy theory, the staged death theory.
So why would he fake his own death?
Because he was facing lawsuits from very powerful people, aristocrats, royalty who lost their fortunes in the bubble he profited from. They were coming for him. He was looking at prison, or worse.
So the headless body could have been anyone.
Anyone. And here's the kicker. 6 months later, this mysterious figure, the Chevalier de Louvigny, shows up in Dutch Suriname, and he's carrying Cantillon's personal documents and a whole lot of gold.
That is, wow.
Oh!
Incredibly suspicious.
Whether he died or he escaped, the outcome was the same. His ideas were silenced. His essay circulated in the shadows for 20 years before publication. Adam Smith even used his ideas but completely erased his name from the record.
He ghosted him.
They tried to bury the man, but the truth is still there. And the source makes the connection directly to today. The tragedy of 1720 France is the tragedy of 2008.
The parallels are just. They're undeniable.
Yeah.
The bailouts, the asset bubbles, the same massive transfer of wealth from Main Street to Wall Street.
Because when a centralized institution can print money, the insiders always benefit. It's the privilege of seigniorage. It doesn't matter if it's a king with a printing press or a central bank with a keyboard. The plunder works the same way.
But the source argues there's a solution now, a reverse Cantillon effect, and that solution is Bitcoin.
This is the pivot. From the problem to the architectural solution. The argument is that Satoshi Nakamoto designed proof of work specifically to solve the privilege of the injection point.
But how does a technical solution fix a political problem? I mean, who gets the money is always a political choice.
It fixes it by restoring a physical constraint. In fiat, money is issued by signature, by status. In Bitcoin, the only way to get the new issuance is to expend physical energy. You have to do the work.
So you can't just lobby for more Bitcoin. You can't be friends with the Bitcoin CEO.
There is no CEO. It removes human discretion. The fixed issuance schedule, we know there will only ever be 21 million. We know the halving schedule.
It removes the information asymmetry. In 1720, only Law and Cantillon knew what was really going on. With Bitcoin, the ledger is open to everyone.
That's the key. No one gets the money first because of their political connections. The source calls Bitcoin digital gold because it has the one property Cantillon valued above all else. It can't be arbitrarily created.
A digital ark is how the source puts it. If fiat is the flood that drowns the poor, Bitcoin is the boat.
And it creates a reverse Cantillon effect. If fiat is a vacuum cleaner sucking wealth up, Bitcoin shatters the vacuum. It returns value to the individual because it's a protocol that allows no insiders.
It's just amazing when you frame it that way. In 1720, John Law used a printing press to fund a bubble. Today, central banks use a keyboard. The technology evolved, but the Cantillon effect remains the ultimate vacuum cleaner for the elite.
That's the bridge. The mechanism is identical. The plunder is just faster and more abstract now.
So the final takeaway for everyone listening. The source is very direct, and it's kind of a slap in the face.
It's a harsh reality check. You are not becoming poor because you aren't working hard. You are becoming poor because you are at the wrong end of the money stream. The currency itself is designed to extract value from you.
And the final command from our source is definitive. Reclaim your sovereignty through a protocol that allows no insiders. That is the warning of Richard Cantillon.
He saw the trap 300 years ago,
Yeah.
and today we might finally have the tool to escape it.
This has been a deep dive briefing from the Strategic Asset Architects. Analyze the flow, watch the injection points, and we'll see you on the next move.